join this broadcast. Welcome to this morning's divorce devotion. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Andrea Stuckey, and I'm the founder of Live Life Love Coaching and Divorcee Liberation, which is an online resource and community for women who desire to rebuild, redefine, and liberating their lives following separation and divorce. I am your divorce liberator. I'm a life coach speaker, and I'm also the author of the amazing book, Suddenly Single, a woman's spiritual and practical guide to the first 5 years following separation and divorce. Make sure you pick up a copy of that book over on Amazon.com. You can get it in both print and Kindle format. Good morning. Hey, Nissy. Welcome to the broadcast. I am 49. For those who want to know, someone's asking over here. I'm going to wipe this camera 1 second. I know this is terrible, but I'm going to do it. That's better. Hey, Jonathan, you're coming back. Good. So if you guys keep the hearts coming, listen, if you're new to me, not only am I a life coach, but I'm also a 2-time divorcee. So I've been divorced twice myself, in my mid-20s and my early 40s. And I've been where many of you are on today. So as we talk about this whole piece on trust and the 3 keys to unlocking trust again in your life, I want you to put your listening ears on. I want you to ask questions if you need to. And I also want you to take notes if possible, because this broadcast may not remain up eternally. 47, a homeschool daughter. It's great. Well, hey, Nissy, let me tell you this. I have homeschooled my older daughter. She's 24 now, but I homeschooled her and my youngest daughter for 10 years. And actually this past year, I homeschooled my daughter, who's now 14. She's headed into high school, public high school this year, but I homeschooled her for 8th grade. So welcome. Great to have you here. Know all about homeschooling. Do a little bit of homeschooling consulting on the side. Good. So that's just FYI. But yes, so I know all about homeschooling. That's just a nugget for you guys. Some of you may know that, have heard some of my stories, and some may not have. But listen, if you're in this Scope Live over here on Facebook, you can thumbs it up and heart it up, and you can do the same thing over here. Oh, thank you for the super heart. Heart it up as well. And those hearts do several things. They keep me motivated. They let me know that you're listening. They let me know that you're out there. And they also, especially on Periscope, lets me know that Periscope is working, because sometimes the connections can be different, right? Or interrupted. So I appreciate that equal exchange and feedback as well. So let's get on into it. Today we're talking about the 3 keys to unlocking trust again after divorce. Very challenging piece. However, it is very, very important. And sometimes trust takes years to build, right? Or it may take you years to build or come to a place where you're able to trust people again, especially if you've been betrayed, right? So first I want to say that it's very normal for you to feel that way. And that betrayal could have been in a marriage. It could have been in a romantic relationship many, many years ago. It could have been in friendships that you've been betrayed. You may have been betrayed by your own family members, right? But it's important that you move beyond that. And I'm going to talk about that today, because it's so important for you and your life, and to have a happy, healthy relationship and a happy, healthy life in general. So if you guys haven't invited your followers, go ahead and invite your followers. Share this broadcast out on Facebook and Twitter, over here on Periscope. Over here live on Facebook. Great to see you guys. You can share this broadcast out as well. So let's get some hearts going, and let's get on down with the topic. Interesting. When you trust in God, you don't really have to really worry about trust in the person. And you know what, total peace, very good point, because that is one of my scriptures that I'm talking about on today. And I believe that's more in Jeremiah 17, where it talks about trusting God. And that is part of, matter of fact, let me just open up my Bible. I have it as a reference. Hang on 1 second, you guys. But it is very, very important. I don't have my glasses on. Let's see how this is going to work. Let's see how this is going to work. But listen, you guys who are just joining, listen, I always start with a quote or scripture. And so this morning I have a scripture. I actually have a quote, and I have 2 scriptures, but I think I just may read one. Bring it on, preacher sister. Let me hear what you got to say. Well, I don't claim to be a preacher. Let me just be clear about that. I do not claim to be a preacher. However, I do have the spiritual gift of teaching. That is my spiritual gift. It is also a natural gift as well. Okay. And I do speak from a space of a believer, right? So even though I've been divorced, and I speak not only on my own behalf, right, but I speak for others in this season, in this situation, in this space, because many believers and Christians have undergone lots of guilt and shame because of divorce. And so this is a non-judgmental platform, number one. The Spirit is the thing that overcoming everything. Just go ahead and let us know. Okay. Hey, Patricia Williams, great to see you. Just bring the word, she says. All right, so let's get on down to it. So Jeremiah 17, 7 and 8, I'm reading from, I'm going to have to put my glasses on because I will be 50 in December and I can't see. So y'all just rock with me. Blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose hope is the Lord. For he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear when heat comes. But its leaf will be green, and will not be anxious in the year of drought, nor will cease from yielding fruit. So here's the deal. This is talking about trust, right? And really when it comes to relationships of all sorts, right, you have to extend trust. Right. And when you have a relationship with God, and I'm going to expound on it a little bit more, but when you have a relationship with God, you don't have to fear. You don't have to walk in fear because the spirit of discernment will be with you. Right. And it puts you in a place of power, really, to extend trust to those very important relationships. So here's a quick quote that says, trust takes years to build, seconds to break, and forever to repair. Right? Yeah, forever to repair, maybe, maybe not. Right? Depending on what has been broken. Right? What level of trust has been broken. So if you're just joining me, come on in and heart it up. Welcome. If you're not following this broadcast, go ahead and hit the little 3 dots on the right side of the screen so you can get all future notifications of the broadcast as well. So let's get on to our topic, 3 keys in unlocking trust again after divorce. Trust is very necessary in relationships. No, it doesn't get broken with God, and that's where we make our mistake. Correct. Hey, Greg Short 302, thank you for being here this morning. So trust is a very necessary component of healthy relationships. It's necessary. I'm going to say this again. Trust is a necessary component of relationships. So if you are challenged with trust, you should not be seeking out relationships. I'm going to sit right there for a minute. And for many of us, this is real talk. For many of us, if we go back to previous relationships, whether they were your marriage or not, if you've ever been hurt, it's challenging to go into a new relationship and not questioning trust. No, that's not right. That's where you go up wrong. We start trusting in relationship instead of trusting God. But here's the thing. I disagree. You've got to trust in relationships. And a lot of that foundational trust comes from your trust in God. You cannot be in a healthy relationship with someone you don't trust. Now let's talk about, this is not even in my notes, but if we're talking about as believers, the covenant of marriage, where 2 are joined together and you become one. How can you not trust initially your mate? Hey, great to have you here, Lois. Welcome. Why would you be entering into a covenant relationship with someone you don't trust? Now, let me be clear. That's right, Patricia. We trust God for relationships. So why would we enter it not trusting? And many of us have done that. I've been married twice. Healthy relationships know where the healthiness comes in when they trust in God. Healthy relationships know where the healthiness comes in. The trust in God is definitely, I'm not clear on what you mean in the first part. If you could sort of reword that, I'd like to expound on that comment. Okay. I hear we have to have faith that they don't break trust. Correct. Your relationship partner exposed how they trust in God and they don't trust you. Your relationship partner exposed how they trust in God and then they don't trust you. No, you can trust your mate and you can trust God. Now, we're not talking about once trust has been violated. I'll allude to that a little later. But we're talking about right now, foundationally, entering into relationships, specifically for those of us who've been in marriages or a marriage, and you have maybe been betrayed in that marriage, or maybe you've betrayed someone else. Right? Or maybe you've done something, whichever way it is. If you've done something, you have to learn to forgive yourself, right? And you have to learn to build up your level of integrity for another individual to trust you. Okay. Let's see some hearts. I don't see, are you guys out there? You have to build up your integrity in order for someone else to trust you. Even if they betray you, you trust in God, you will still feel it's all right. No. So let me hold your commentary, total piece, so that I can stay on. I want to address what your questions and commentary, but I also want to stay focused on today's topic. Okay. So no, we don't have to trust someone who has betrayed us. Let's be clear. We're not ignorant. When people show us who they are, we believe them. I'm talking right now initially in entering relationships, and I'm also talking about it referencing those of us who may have been betrayed and have come out of divorce or long-term relationships. Over here on Facebook, it says, if the relationship goes awry, your trust was never in the person, but God will protect you from the hurt and recover you from the pain. Come on, Patricia. Teach. Maybe you should be over here teaching. That's so true. Because God will protect you. God is in everything. Right? So let me go back to my premise when I'm talking about relationships, right? Because many of you who may be separated or divorced, down the road perhaps, or maybe you're already dating, depending on where you are, you desire to have a healthy relationship. This is the key word here. Healthy relationships. I've been in unhealthy relationships, right? And there's no fruit in them, no long-lasting fruit, and they usually end or die, even if they're not even if that relationship doesn't end in divorce, there are a lot of dead marriages, unfortunately. Right? But you can live in a happy and healthy relationship. And for many of us, we just haven't had it modeled to us. We just haven't had the right information, and we don't have the tools, because you do need tools, quote unquote, in how you manage a relationship. It's just like you need tools, quote unquote, when you're parenting. It's information. It's ways to do things, right? There's strategies, so to speak, in how to help orchestrate a healthy relationships. It's just like as a boss at work, right? As a manager, as an administrator, there's a way that you have to deal and manage people to get what you need, right? So there's a reciprocation in a work-employee relationship. It is the same in our relationships, just different manifestations. Am I making sense, you guys? When you have two partners, two mates, two, husband and wife, whatever that is, right? That relationship, even prior to marriage, if you're dating and you're exclusive, right? There's a reciprocation in that relationship, and you have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn about the other person. You have to learn about their history, and you have to have compassion for the one that you love. Those are tools, in a way, for lack of better words, right? Does that make sense to anybody? Yes, yes. No. Give me some feedback before I move forward. Hey, Lunas. Hey, Synergen. Welcome to the broadcast. Does that make sense? How about some hearts to let me know that? If not, I would love to give clarity, because I want to make sure that my message is getting across. Perfect. Good. Right? So trust is a necessary component of healthy relationship. Trust provides freedom, security, and intimacy. Let me say this again. Trust in a relationship provides freedom, right? Freedom for you to be who you are, freedom to come and go and have interests and hobbies and those type of things, other healthy relationships, right? It gives you security in knowing that your mate trusts you, that you have a bond where you're working together in this relationship, that you are one if you're married, right? And if you're dating, that you're learning to become one in the relationship, that you're on the same team. We're talking about trust, providing freedom, security, and intimacy. Because see, when you trust your spouse, when you trust your mate, you can be free and you can share the innermost parts of your being without being afraid that they'll take that information and throw it back at you or misuse it in some way, shape, or form, right? Rest in the trust of God. Yes, it provides freedom. Absolutely. And I'm also talking about just trusting God, Patricia, but I'm also talking about in your intimate relationships. So let me backtrack so that I'm clear. Trust, I'm talking specifically now in terms of relationships, healthy relationships. So when you're in a healthy relationship with someone else, that trust factor provides freedom, security, and intimacy. They're very necessary in relationships. Remember, we're talking about relationships. So let's say marriage ultimately is the goal for most believers, whether you're already divorced or not. Ultimately, if you desire to have another relationship or to get back out on the dating scene, perhaps you want to remarry. And so when we're talking about marriage, we're talking about two becoming one, right? And having that intimacy and freedom and security in that relationship. And when you don't have it and you've experienced that you're not free, when you experience that you're not secure in your relationship, and when you experience that you can't or you don't have a level of intimacy, it's very straining on the relationship. Right? When you should be on the same team, you're not even free enough to share your thoughts or ideas with your mate. It's not a good space to be in. And many of us have been in that space for a plethora of reasons, right? A ton of reasons why. And we're not going to talk about that today, but I want to talk about the importance of having trust and how to rebuild that and what's required for you as opposed as a divorcee or coming out of that long-term relationship and preparing for a new healthy relationship. Hey, Anthony Worley 8, welcome to the broadcast. Listen, if you guys are just jumping in, make sure you're hearting it up, sharing the broadcast out. Let's see. We also must trust ourselves. At times we can be very vulnerable and impulsive because our feelings and trust are not balanced. You are so right, Patricia. You are so right. We do have to learn to trust ourselves. And you said a key word that I'd like to expound on: vulnerability. Vulnerability. Vulnerability is required and necessary when we talk about having real intimate relationships. And that's where trust comes in, because you have to trust someone in order to be vulnerable with your deepest thoughts, your deepest desires, right? Your hurts, your pains, whatever that is. You need that intimacy, and you're not going to get it if you're holding back. Now, let me be clear. There are levels to this process. We don't meet someone today and tell them our whole life story. Okay, I'm definitely not saying that. Okay, but as you're building a foundation with someone, this is necessary, right? Remember, the goal is two becoming one, right? And it requires trust. The pillars of healthy relationships are trust, honesty, and commitment. I got my fingers over here. Trust, honesty, and commitment. And many of us enter into relationships without any of that. We don't trust our mate, we still marry him. We're not honest with our mate, we still marry him. And we're not really committed, right? Not just from a sexual perspective, fidelity, but we're not committed to being loyal to our mates. Let me camp out right here. Let's see some hearts, because this is for women. This is an area that a lot of us make mistakes. So if you believe God is who God is and he has already made your life playing as it victim you are. I don't understand what that means. Can you retype that or rephrase it? Victim. Playing victim. I'm not clear. I'm not clear. Thanks for the hearts, you guys. So let me camp out right here when we talk about loyalty. Loyalty is a part of commitment. When you're committed to your spouse or significant other, there's a level of loyalty that must take place, right? So, okay, one second. You become victimized thinking when you believe that your mate is the only reason why you are where you just have where. I'm not understanding your point being relevant to what we're talking about. Because that's kind of way off balance when you talk about relationships and being victimized and feeling victimized. I'm not clear. I'm not clear to the point that you're trying to make. I want to answer you or comment, but I'm not clear. And Colt Conrad says depression comes. Depression comes when what? Colt. I want to camp out here on loyalty for a minute because oftentimes as women we fall prey to this. Right? So when I talk about trust, honesty, and commitment in relationships, the commitment level requires loyalty. Right? Remember we just talked about being intimate, being vulnerable? Right? And so what happens is oftentimes a lot of women, because we're emotional beings and because we talk way more than our counterparts, oftentimes we divulge a lot of very vulnerable information that our mates have given to us, to other people, mothers, sisters, and girlfriends. God gave us discernment to put these treasures in the hand of the right person, correct? That's why it's so important to stay hooked up and tied up with God. Some people are loyal to their need of you. Loyal to their need of you. What do you mean? You phrase that differently. Are loyal to their need of you. What does that mean? I want to hear what you mean by that. So a lot of us as women, let me stop here again. Commitment, trust, honesty, commitment. Commitment requires loyalty. And oftentimes what has happened is we want to know why our mates haven't opened up to us or won't continue to open up to us or won't share with us because oftentimes we violated the commitment level through loyalty. We've been unloyal. Because as women, we have a tendency to do too much of this. And see, what happens is when you're really, when you're really connected with someone, even if they don't overhear the conversation, they recognize behaviors of other people. So here's a great example. And I want you to put this in your back pocket. And I want you to remember this when you go into new relationships or if you're in a new relationship. Okay? Because once you share intimate details with someone else, their behavior towards that person changes. Men and women, when they put their trust in each other instead of God. Total peace. I totally disagree. You have to trust your mate initially. We're not talking about when it's been violated. Like when they want out of you, not to you. Oh, I missed it. Can you retype that? Let me see if I can get it back. Wait a minute. Like what they want out of you, not to your needs. No give and take compromise. Okay, correct. Right. So that's manipulative behavior. So they're only loyal if they want something. I understand what you're saying now. Totally understand. Totally understand. Right. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. We talk about commitment because there's subcategories to commitment. One being loyalty. And this whole scope is not about that. We want to focus on trust, but I thought I'd throw that nugget out there because especially for women, this is an area that we err. And then we complain about the lack of feedback that we get because we have damaged that loyalty, that connection. Hey, Pink Ivy, great to see you. We've damaged that. And we act like we don't know why, but we really know why. And women or men, we're made up of different characteristics. And so when men share, they share some intimate details and you take that and go tell your mom, you take that and go tell your sister, and you take that and go tell your friend, very disloyal. It's very disloyal. Now, you can share without sharing. So let me be clear. So when you get a gift from God, your mate, and then you stop thinking it was a gift from God, you manipulate them. Yeah, you need to know it is a gift if God is in it. Sometimes we pick our own gifts and God's not in it. Let's be clear. I missed that. Somebody said he hasn't even met me, so I missed what that was about. Right. So just remember that the loyalty factor. Right? The loyalty factor. And let me, you can share without sharing. Does that make sense? You can share without sharing. If you need a release and you need to talk, first of all, you need to be very clear about who really loves and support you. Okay? If you have some questions or things, but you don't have to divulge the intricate parts of your marriage to seek counsel or to get insight. But oftentimes we just let our emotions run wild and we just tell it all. So you got to be careful. Okay? You got to be careful. So let me get back to the notes. Hey, Carlo, welcome to the broadcast. Keep the hearts coming on both platforms, and let's continue to move on. I haven't even gotten to my nuggets yet. I'm at the final point of divorcing my wife, so I know what you're saying. Yes. And all marriages are not created equal. There's so many different pieces to that puzzle and how we find ourselves in this space, right? How we've gotten here to this position, right? A lot of commonalities, but also a lot of differences. But what has kept me in peace of mind is my trust in God. Absolutely. God never fails. He never fails. So when you're in a relationship with a with a trust issue, you are on defense, not on offense. Yes, pray for emotional balance. So listen to this again. When you enter a relationship with a trust issue, you're on defense, not on offense. Right? So when you come in and you're not trusting and you're insecure in your relationship, you're automatically on defense. Right? So it's very difficult for your mate to really get into you, so to speak, for lack of better words, because you're already defensive. You're very welcome. I will. Right? You're on defense. So here's the thing. Now, I like to make sure I'm clear here. When you're dating, it takes time. You use wisdom. Okay? You use wisdom. You ask lots of questions. Early in the dating scene, ask lots of questions. Can I say it one more time so y'all don't forget? Ask lots of questions. Remember, honesty, trust, honesty, and commitment. You learn by asking questions. Right? You learn by asking questions. So here's the thing. If you're operating in fear, meaning so you come into the relationship and you're not trusting, you're operating in a space of fear. So if you're operating in a space of fear, you're insecure. You have a tendency to move into codependent behaviors, right? And then also, you may become an abusive individual, right? Not abuse to the level that we usually think, hitting and loud, but you can be very manipulative and very passive aggressive. And believe what you hear and see the first time. Absolutely, Pink Ivy. Trust is that not just selfish beyond our own human judgment. Right? So you have to be careful. If you're entering these relationships and you are not trusting, it's really doomed for failure. And I hate to make it so finite, of course, there's always a possibility for help and counseling and that type of thing. Most people don't get that. Most people don't seek that initially. When they seek it, it's very late in the game. I think as a community, as a society, we're getting better at that, but it's usually last resort opposed to being proactive in the relationship. A woman or man going to do whatever they want and it doesn't matter really. Yes, codependent is not healthy. It is not. I know all about it. Right? Insecure, abusive, and codependent behavior. Absolutely. And it comes from us. So if you're not trusting, and I'm getting into my points, I haven't even gotten to my 3 nuggets yet. It comes from you. I am so you set yourself up for all your expectations to be defeated. So I'm not sure what you're kind of making some random statements. Total peace. I'm not sure what you're referencing to. Okay. So this is what happens when you enter into a relationship and you're not ready to trust again. But I want to tell you how you can prepare, right, to believe and trust again. Right? So how you can unlock that bondage of lack of trust that you're holding in your life right now. And usually that lack of trust is not only in your intimate relationships, it's usually overflowing into friendships and family relationships and co-worker relationships and, you know, that atmosphere at work as well. Very suspicious. You know, you're just walking around in fear. And the truth is, no one is thinking about us that much. I'm saying when you trust in the human, you set expectations, then when they fail you, you blame them. Well, that's a whole different topic. Okay, because we're not, and I don't want to get off point. Maybe tomorrow I'll talk about that. Hold up. Because now you're talking about betrayal, and betrayal is a whole nother topic. I want to kind of stay on point here, right? Once trust has been betrayed, that's different. But you can't enter into a relationship untrusting, because the pillars of healthy relationships are honesty, trust, and commitment. So let me move forward. Point number 1. We're talking about now we're getting into the keys to unlock trust again. The first point is you have to be healed from your broken past. You've got to be healed. You've got to be healed. So if you are still walking in a spirit of untrust or non-trust, however we want to call it, you have a challenge with trusting other people, you, ma'am, you, sir, need inner work. You've got to look at, spend time with the betrayal that has hurt you. And now that betrayal may not necessarily be from your marriage. This betrayal, this lack of trust could have been developed in your younger years. And you may have been carrying this lack of trust for people your whole life. I know people like that, suspicious of every single thing. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And it's such bondage, really. You do have to work on your healing. It's such a space of bondage. It really is. But if you're challenged with that, you have to work on it. You have to identify your issues. You have to work. You have to feel that pain. And a lot of times we just stuff things down and we don't deal with it. And we've been stuffing it and stuffing it and stuffing it for decades. And all it does is it keeps cropping up in relationships, cropping up at work, cropping up in friendships, because we haven't dealt with it. And until you deal with it, right? And that could be therapy. It all depends on what broke you or what you're carrying around, right? So that could be through therapy. Believe it or not, it could be through certain books. I have been set free by reading certain books. Have I gone to therapy? Absolutely. Have I read a ton of books? Y'all know the story. I read books when I was in marriage because I thought it was me. Now, in hindsight, all those books and all that knowledge works in the space of me being a coach, along with being a certified coach. I had no idea, but it does, right? Because I was in that space. But you can learn so much from reading books. Number 1, therapy. Depending on what it is or where your foundation has been cracked, you may need some deeper digging. And that's not what I do. I'm a life coach. I'm not a therapist. Therapy is based on the past issues. Now, there is a little overlap. When I work with clients, I get some of their history, right? So I can see where they are emotionally, right? Exactly. And do the homework. If you have a coach, do your homework, right? So there's a little overlap. But as a coach, I'm focused on rebuilding you and helping you get what you want from now forward. That's the difference. I love to be, clear on that. But some people need therapy. I needed therapy. I had my parents divorced when I was young. I had an alcoholic father, right? I've seen a lot of things. And these things carry with me on a low level my whole life. And they were in fact affecting and impacting my relationships, but I didn't think that. Right? So what happens is, let me use a great example. I want to say, I feel like I've said, I had a class last night, so I talked about it. I was going to say, I feel like I just said this, but here's the deal. I've been married twice. Many of you who rock with me, you've heard the story. Let's get some hearts going. Come on, you guys, come on. I know y'all listening, but let's tap for hearts. And my first marriage, my ex-husband walked out. Right? So you're talking about abandonment, rejection. I had a toddler, a 16-month-old daughter. I took that same baggage into my second marriage. I didn't get any help. I didn't get any healing. I didn't get any resolution. I took those same energies into my next relationship, along with a plethora of other things. Right? So when you don't heal your brokenness, you're setting yourself up for failure. And what happens is, a lot of us who have been separated or divorced, we don't get the healing we need, and we jump into another relationship. And of course, it's all fine at first. But those little crops, those little weeds that are down on the inside spring up after time. And you're dealing and facing with the same thing. And usually you've attracted a very similar person in your life. Great. That's what I'm talking about. Girl, you were survival. You were a savior. Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you came onto the broadcast. So make sure you're following. But this is what happens, right? So you bring all of that, your issues into the next relationship. You've got to be healed. So for those of you who are watching live, those of you who are watching by replay, and some of you may be just jumping into this broadcast and you're already remarried, or you're married and you're still broken from something that's happened before. Get your healing now. Call a therapist, read a book, call a coach, whatever you need to do. Get yourself some healing. Get to the root cause of that issue, so that you can get it out of the way, so to speak, and you're able to move on in your life and your relationships, all of your relationships, because you're the common denominator of all your relationships. So if you're hurting over here, you're usually hurting over there. Hope that makes sense. Hey, Angie095. Let's see some hearts coming, you guys. Come on. Point number 2. Let me go back to point number 1, okay? Because you need to identify your issues, feel and work through the pain, and then you need to set up strategies and boundaries to prevent you from going back to those behaviors. I talked about this last night in the Rebuilding the Inner Me group coaching program that we had on Sunday nights. This is key. Once you recognize, once you begin to heal, you have to understand your triggers. Because see, those unhealthy behaviors are familiar to you, to your subconscious. And you will gravitate back to that because it's more familiar. And you have to put, for lack of a better word, strategies and boundaries in your life to help you prevent from going back down that road. That's a form of codependency, jumping from one marriage to the next. Absolutely. Right? So if you know, and this is the beauty of healing, I'm going to use myself for an example. So when I realized that I was codependent, one of the things I had to do was create self-boundaries when I'm in relationships. All types of relationships. Because you see, if I don't create certain types of boundaries, and I'm kind of along my way, 8, 9, 10 years out of this. So I'm a little better, I'm a lot better now. But especially in those early years, you're more designed to easily fall back in to those areas, to those behaviors, because you're so used to doing it. So if you're so used to being a people pleaser for 30 years, it's going to be challenging for you not to be a people pleaser. So you've got to create boundaries in your life with all of your relationships so that you understand the motive of what you do and why you do it. Right? And what I mean by that, I'm going to use a quick example. I'm going to move on. If you're a people pleaser, are you doing it to be kind and to do that favor? Or are you doing it to be liked? Are you doing it of fear of rejection? And are you doing it when it's really something you don't want to do? See the difference? huge difference. Yes, Patricia. Does this make sense? Let's get a little bit of feedback really, really quickly, and I'll move into point number 2. What time is it? Okay. Good, good, good. Point number 2, I got to kind of speed up. You must be willing to extend trust from the very beginning. And I kind of alluded to this already. You have to go into a relationship. Now, I'm talking about when you're dating, this is when you weed out things. You have to ask questions, right? But when you decided to go into a committed relationship, you have to extend trust. You can't be suspicious. You can't be insecure. You can't. You extend trust. If trust is broken, then that's a whole nother topic on how you deal with that, or how you choose to deal with that. Right? I think a lot of this I've already gone over. So here's the thing. When you extend trust, it takes faith. It takes discernment. And trust also takes time. It takes time to learn to trust someone. And what I mean by that is time, not necessarily learn to trust them, but time in terms of their behaviors to really build that trust. So of course, when you just meet someone, you have to ask the right questions before you commit to being exclusive, right? Before you commit to that next level of the relationship. You don't just go in blind like, oh, here's Joe Smo, I'll just trust him. No, you ask some questions, right? And then based on that questions, if they don't line up with you, then you shouldn't be dating that person. If they line up, you're extending trust, you're building trust. And as that relationship goes, you're building. Makes sense? And finally, point number 3, you've got to be honest with yourself, honest about what you need, and you have to learn to articulate those needs. You're only going to ask questions that you know to ask, so you can't trust that. No, I disagree. You ask the questions that you want to ask. Right? Because you're in charge. And then how they answer, or if they refuse to answer, that tells you a lot about those people. Right? You can ask. Hey, have you been married before? Oh, how long did you date before your marriage? Right? Without the intro, you don't need to know all the internal details of their relationship when you first meet somebody. No, you don't need that. That's really in the past. But you can ask certain things so you can see their patterns. You can ask questions. So if you asked a question that you didn't know to ask before you met them, then what, you lost trust? You don't have a relationship with this person. We don't trust everyone we see on the street. So what I'm saying, maybe I'm unclear, so I want to be clear. When you meet someone and you're dating, you ask questions. Everyone that comes before you you're not committed to that person. You're not, turning over a part of your life to that person. Am I clear? You're dating. Now, once you begin to find out more and you say, hey, okay, it's just going to be me and you. We decided we're going to build a relationship. We start building on trust and honesty and commitment. Does that make sense? Can I see some yeses over here on Facebook? Some yeses also over here on Periscope. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. I know I could talk a little fast. Yes? Good stuff? Perfect. Okay. As long as I'm clear, I just want to make sure that I broke that down clearly. Broke that down clearly. So you have to be honest with yourself about what you want and what you need in life. Let me give an example. So you're talking about there should be a time when you eventually get to a point where you ask every question. Total Peace, you're thinking too hard about this. It's pretty simple to me. Yes, it's okay to ask questions if you're dating someone. Isn't that how we get to know people? You're meeting someone for lunch, you're meeting someone for dinner, you're having coffee, you're asking questions, right? You're having general conversation. Hey, what do you think about having children? Do you have children, right? What do you think about discipline, right? Are your parents still married? Oh, you didn't, okay. And you don't even need like depth of information. That comes later, right? Because you have to build relationships. But you can know if a person came from a divorced family, if a person lived in the town that you live in, right? Or have they lived in this town, that town? Have they gone to this job, that job? Do you understand what I'm saying? And when you get information, you begin to build a caricature, for lack of better words, about this person. Relationships are not that simple for real. No one's saying relationships are simple. What difference between lunch date with a good old friend? She married, I'm married. That's a whole nother topic. I'm not going to talk about that. You got to come back for that one. Good old friend, I'm married, she's married. Here's the real deal. Okay, quick. Y'all pulling on me today. You know the deal. You know the deal. When you sit down with Susie from high school, when you sit down with Joey from college, you know the nature of how that relationship was. You can try and justify it or not. If it's totally platonic, you don't have to question it. But if you know you got a little fire for Sally and maybe your relationship right now is not on 100, you may not want to sit down with Sally and have lunch. So we ask these questions because we want validation when we really already know the answer. Okay? We really already know the answer. We are adults. We are adults. And it's just like when you meet someone at the job or in the market and you say hello, there's a way you say hello. There's a way you shake a hand. There's a way you make gestures. That's how we meet people. So all this foolishness, I'm not going to tolerate. All right, let's keep moving. Let's keep on going. You got to be honest with yourself. Exactly. You got to be honest with yourself, and you have to know what you want so that you can see if this person and you line up, first of all. Now you're talking about honesty. Go ahead with yes. Right? So you have to be honest with yourself, what you really want, and what you need in a relationship. So we talk about 5 love languages. If you guys have not read the book, I suggest you read it by Gary Chapman. It's very popular, so that you can understand what your love language is. We talked about this last night in REM. Right? Because you usually operate from your love language, but it may not be the love language that your mate needs. So if I'm a person who needs a lot of quality time, as me and this new person are dating, if they're traveling a lot and they're doing other things, that may not be the relationship for me. And then with honesty, when you are honest without self and the other person is not honest, so what? Well, you got to navigate that. That's why you need to take your time, use discernment, right? And use wisdom. A lot of times we want to jump past base 1, 2, and go to 3, and we haven't even asked basic questions. That's let you know where you stand with God. I don't know what that means. Yes, compatibility, sissy. All right, so real quick recap. You have to be healed, number 1. You have to learn to extend trust, right? And then number 3, you've got to know yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself and your needs to articulate that to the next person. Because see, for example, let me go back, as I said, the time piece. So if your love language is a lot of time and you get involved with someone who doesn't have a lot of time, then what's that going to create for you? It might create a trust issue. It shouldn't. Right? But you have to determine your needs and ask the right questions. And so as you're beginning to know this person through questions, and I don't mean a check-off list, I mean through general fun conversation, right? You ask questions. So for many of you, if you've heard of Dr. G, he's a relationship coach here on Periscope and on Facebook. And that is his expertise, not mine. I've learned so much, and he's actually a dear friend. He always talks about having 5 quality conversations on the phone, not text messaging, with a person before you even meet them. 1, that tells if they have time for you. 2, it gives you a lot of inside, dynamics of who they are. You have good, long conversations. And oftentimes we don't do that. We go meet them and we get automatically struck from the physical. And I'm not saying the physical doesn't matter. I'm just saying that we skip a lot of pieces to the puzzle. And then we want to know why a year later we don't know who this person is, or we have questions that we should have asked in the very beginning before our heart has gotten involved. So be honest with yourself about your needs in relationships and articulate that as you're going on in the relationship. Any questions, comments, or concerns for me? Hey, LJU Wesley, welcome to the broadcast. You're just popping in. You're going to have to go back and watch the replay, but there's some great nuggets here. I'm the only one. Love the handle. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, you just said what I was saying. Okay. Sometimes it's tough, total peace, when you're commenting, because you may be responding to something I said, but by the time that it comes up across the feed, it doesn't make sense. So that's why you got to be kind of clear in the comments. Hey, G-Shock 2020, welcome, 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 you guys. We've been talking about the 3 keys to unlocking trust again after divorce. Trust is a huge, huge component, a very, really necessary component of a healthy relationship. Healthy relationship. And trust provides freedom, security, and intimacy in a relationship. You trust in them instead of God, so when you didn't get what you wanted because you didn't know. Hey, Sammy Dem 52. Any other questions for me? Listen, you guys, if you are not following me on all platforms of social media, I suggest that you do. Divorce_Coach7, Divorce_Coach7, Divorce_Coach7. That's over on Instagram. Go follow me there. Definitely get to see some backstory on me there. I do those Instagram stories, kind of bring you in my life a little bit. Trust is very important. It's very necessary. Must be the music. Absolutely. So make sure you follow me there, over on Twitter as well. And of course, here on Periscope. If you're watching over on Facebook Live and you're not following me on Periscope, you need to, because I don't always dual stream. Periscope really is my primary platform. And if I'm in the car, I can't dual stream. I don't have 2 devices. So make sure you're following both so you get both notifications over on Facebook and over on Periscope as well. Okay. If you are a separated or divorced woman and you're looking for a community of supportive individuals, come join my Facebook community over on Facebook, Divorcee Liberation. It's a closed, safe space for separated and divorced women. Come on over, join, be a part. If you have questions or you're not sure where you are along your journey and you want to talk to me and see, if I can help you or direct you where you are, right, in terms of divorce and separation, or if you even have some personal goals that you want to reach, get on my calendar for a free consultation, bit.ly/coach with Andrea. All lowercase, all one word, bit.ly/coach with Andrea. So I guess I'll send my wife to you. Just joking. I don't really believe in divorce, but it's time. Listen, as believers, I never thought I would be divorced, especially after my second marriage. We met at church. We were active participants of the faith. But this is a non-judgment zone. The how and the why that you're in this space is not important to this platform. What's important is about you healing, you developing, and you going back out here so that you have an opportunity to have a healthy, happy life in all aspects. And a lot of times divorce takes people out. We're walking around, after the divorce, after a couple of years, you've gotten yourself physically together, but you're still hurt and you're still broken and you're not living your best life. You're carrying around that unseen baggage, that unseen weight of guilt, anger, shame, and you don't have to walk in that space. And that's what this platform is all about. Helping you move forward to a bigger, better, happier life. And if you desire a healthy relationship, right? A healthy relationship. Do you think I'm wrong for not feeling pain and hurt? I just feel God is blessing me and will bless. Well, what I can't tell you, that's not the right question, but what I can share with you is this, is that you need to address feelings, right? So a lot of us are masters at not dealing with our feelings, right? So we might work them away. We might date them away. We might run them away, meaning literally, run activities, whatever that is, and not really deal with the feelings and not really address what has happened. Yes, healing will need to come from the slump. Okay. So you really have to deal with those feelings in order to heal. And when we skip that part, trust me, it will return. Trust me, it will return. And we talked about this a little bit last night. I'm not sure if Anita's still on here, but here's the thing, because I saw her earlier, is that, of course, a lot of times, you've been in so much pain in the relationship. When you finally separate, you feel a relief, right? But I talk about here on this platform, you need to go back. I talk about the stages of divorce. There are stages and levels to this thing. So you may feel wonderful right now, but you may or may not feel differently in a month, in 2 months, in 6 months. There's stages to this, especially if you've been married for any significant time, even if you want the divorce. So just be mindful of your feelings. And if you have questions, feel free to get on my calendar. I can help you navigate that space, if you have questions. Okay. I got to run. I have an adult daughter in town, which I'm super excited. My soul is so happy that she's in town until tomorrow. For those of you who follow me, my soul is so happy. My 14-year-old is in high school today, and so I'm going to spend a little bit of time with my older daughter. She's in town, so I need to go and connect with her. I went through a roller coaster of emotions. Yes, Missy Nissy. Wonderful. Enjoy it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I do. My soul is so happy. I just get teary-eyed just thinking about it, you guys. Let me tell you something. It's been a journey. My girls were 6 and 16 when I went through my second divorce. They're now 14 and 24. And it bound us together like this, right? This triad. It's kind of our little inside connection that we talk about. And when I am with them, the three of us, my soul is so happy. It's just so happy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, because it's a journey. And many of you are out here on this journey. I know what you're dealing with. I'm telling you. Keep the faith. This, whatever you're feeling today, won't last always. You are so much stronger than you think. I have done so much in 8 years that I really had no idea I could do. I had lost all of my, ambition, all of my, my strength, my internal strength. But God, let me tell you something. But God, He'll open doors. He'll show you who you really are. Let me say it again. He will show you who you really are and what you're capable of doing. He will show you. He will show you. It's a process. And all you have to do is take it one day at a time, one step at a time. And you'll look back and you'll be like me 8 years out. It seemed like it was yesterday. That's what I'm saying. So don't worry about trusting nobody but Him. Got you. Yes, very happiness is key. Thank you. He is a restorer. Yes, He is, Pink Ivy. He is a restorer. So you guys have a wonderful and blessed day. Listen, over here on Periscope, you can connect with me. The first link in the bio gives you a drop down to all my services, some free audios, free ebooks. Hey, go grab something. Grab something there. And I'll be back tomorrow morning around the same time. So just keep your notifications on. And when you hit the little woohoo, come on back, okay? You have a great day too. I love you guys. Listen, and as I always tell you, no matter what the situation or the circumstance is that you're facing on today, God is always with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Stay and be encouraged, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Mwah!